Anyway, the video ended up coming off, but oh, there. Sorry about that. So anyways, my wishful thinking of that being just one time, no, that was way too good to be true. Even so, the next day, of course, we go to class and all of that is good. We come back at night. I was kind of scared to for the night, because I hated nights. To me, they were terrifying. Every wrong thing that happened, most times it happened at night. So that night, you better believe it, it was a different one that actually showed up. It wasn't even the same one. This time around, it was two that came that night. So again, I'm just there trying to sleep, forcing yourself to sleep, because now the dormitory is so the dormitories has gone quiet. Everybody has fallen asleep, and you are still the same person that is awake, even though the previous night you did not even get any sleep. The day you can't get any sleep, so now you are left to try to find sleep again. And of course, whenever it will be like at around 12, exactly 12, or around that time, because most times I was not even looking at the time, but around 12 we did have a clock, and then I felt that atmosphere again, and I'm like, oh no, not again. Am I gonna get any sleep? My head is buzzing. I'm out of energy. I barely even eat, because I don't find any joy in eating. Others are busy eating and I'm sitting there like lifeless. Sometimes they wish to just ask me what's wrong, and it's like, oh no, I'm good, it's just homework, right? So you make up excuses. So that night I felt that atmosphere again. This time around, again, it was different and strong, but it was not as strong as the one from the previous night. So they walked in as just like the one from before. It came in this time around, it was a shadow that was stretching forth, like I was able to see it from even through, like there is nothing there that you can physically see, but you're seeing this shadow that is walking on the wall. So I'm looking at how it's stretching and how it's going, and really there is no one there, but you're looking at this very long shadow. You can tell is a being, because it's like, you know, it's walking. You can see the hands like this, and it's showing that it's walking, but there is no one there. Again, I was holding my Bible. I started making little prayers. Jesus, please protect me. Jesus had suffered at that time, because I was ready. He had to, as you can see him, he's still suffering even now, because he's even still on my watch. So I guess when it comes to me, he really never has any rest, because if he ever rests, I'm done. I am done. I know that much. So I am the reason why he doesn't sleep or slumber, because he has to watch over people like me, because if he even blinks like this, I'm done. So I'm looking at the shadow, and it's like, and then I turned and I looked at the door, and I saw another one. That one was, it was a figure. You know, you can tell it's a being. It had a figure, or it was a figure of a man, a very tall man, and it looked right at me, because it was standing at the door. It looked right at me, and it's like, who find you? it matched. These things, they were on a mission. They really knew me. Like, I'm talking about, I'm in a room full of girls, many girls. Even in the next room, many girls. Even in the room close to the door where they came from, there is many girls. But for some reasons, it was me that they were looking for. I knew it, they knew it. So the moment it saw me, and I saw it, and I closed my eyes, it was already too late. Because our eyes had met. This time around, it actually had eyes. Very red eyes. Red eyes. Very creepy. It came, and the figure and the shadow is still moving. Because I'm like, where is it even going? Because it's like moving, but it's like it doesn't reach where it's going, but it's just moving. So this other one that had a form, it came and approached me. It was not as tall as the one from the previous one. So it looked right straight, because I'm high, and it's like we meet at the same level. So it stared at me. And I'm closing my eyes, I'm pretending like I'm not even staring, but you know you can actually stare at someone without even opening their eyes. So it knew, and I was staring, but even though my eyes were closed. And then, you know, once in a while, I'll just really peep through the eyes very slowly to see, you know, because I know you're there, and I know you're looking right at me. But, you know, maybe if I pretend like you're not there, you just vanish. Oh no, it stayed there. This one was, it had arrogancy on it. So after looking at me like that, with so much anger, again, it too stretched out hands like this and wanted to, they're always reaching out for the neck. I don't know. Maybe that's why I used to wonder why so many deaths are in strangulation. Why people strangle others. Demons. The moment a demon wants to kill you, it just reaches out for the neck. Do your research and you'll see. A lot of, you know, domestic homicides and stuff is usually strangulation. So it reached out with both hands, and it was trying to get where my neck is. Again, I just closed my eyes, hugged my Bible, again, nice and tight, and that same voice said, "Fear not." So that voice used to bring a calmness within me, but on the outward, I am trembling. This time around, I didn't pee, just in case you're wondering. It was very scary, right? Because it's still a demon, but it was not the previous one. That was Satan. Because whenever that one in particular showed up, it was different. It had a different power altogether that was different from all the others. So this one had so much power. But the power is that says that, you know, if I can scare you and you get scared of me, and then I'll be able to do whatever I want. The other one, no, whether you're scared or not, you had to fear it. So it reached out again, it froze at the same place that the other one. So it's like God had a barrier where he can let you see them. Because otherwise, what would I be talking about right now? So sometimes he will allow you to go through a situation that later on he will use for his own glory. To show you that the world that we are living in is not a physical. The things that you're seeing is not all that there is to it. There is more. Even as we speak right now, there is beings right here. But this time around, they are not demons, but they are angels. I know, because I can feel them. I know that the Spirit of God is with me. Why? I can feel him. So, but at that time, I was not really much of a Christian. I was just a kid. that, you know, was dragged to church every Sunday. I even hated going to church because the people that were preaching are the ones that were defiling me the entire night. So I had no business being at church. I hated church. I remember my stepmom used to call me a devil and call my brother Sam the angel. Because, you know, he always liked church. And I, you know, he was a little tiny gentleman with his little suit on. And when they go, he was a mini dad. I was a mini dad in futures and everything, but he was a mini dad in actions. He would carry his little Bible here and his little suit, and he would march, you know, with a purpose to go to church. And when he gets there, he's not trying to leave. He actually stays. I get there to leave, and I'm gonna be out. I'll find every excuse to be out of that place. All right. So again, I would go to church, but I was not really a Christian. I knew God was there and God will watch over me, and this Bible, I knew this Bible will protect me. So, and good enough, I had that voice that always told me, do not fear, or he will speak to me in different ways. So after this spirit, this demon froze in time like that, because it really didn't get to achieve what it came here for. And this the shadow that was walking on the wall, you know, kind of manifested, and now it's standing right here in front of me, but it's still a shadow. It didn't have any physical thing. It was still a shadow. So all I'm looking at is complete shadow. So it just went from being on the wall, right? He was trying to scare me from walking on the wall like that, but now he's standing right here, but he's still a shadow. Still has the shadow arms and everything, but it's just that there is no form. So when it failed to do that, it bent its head like this to look at the girl. It was not interested. So it looked close to the door. Remember the girl that I had talked to, whether she saw something? Her name was Brenda. She was not in the same class, but she was in one grade lower than me. So that demon looked right at that bed. So he went and turned, and I could see his back as he went to right at that first bed. There is 3 of them just like mine because the setting was the same. And he looked from the up to the middle to the one down, and he settled for the one that was down, that girl, and started playing with her hair. And it's like he would put his hand and it would disappear in the school. And I'm just there like, no, please don't do anything. You know, in my heart I'm just like, oh, God, please don't let them kill this girl or any of others, because he didn't seem to be interested in any of the others. But on this girl, he just put his finger in there and it disappeared, and it's like he was twitching something. And then he lost interest. He will look back at me, but then he wants to come at me with full force, but there was something there that he couldn't cross. So then he, in frustration, you know, he decided to frustrate me because he knew that I was watching. So he got on the second girl and was doing the hair like this, like really tormenting me, because these are now have become my friends and I care so much about them, and they have no idea. They are snoring. This is why you people should pray before you sleep. Actually pray during the day, pray when you sleep, because the things that happen around you, even as I'm sitting right here, there may be a being right here, and there is, but this time around is not a contrary spirit. It's not a demon. No. It's a different one that I'll talk about later on. So you play with the hair and you look back at me, and it's like he's smacking or something, and he'll go and really wanted to traumatize me in a way that I would maybe get out of the bed. His intention was that if he can play long enough with these people, then maybe I'll try to come and it's like I'll try to defend them. So then I'll relieve the barrier that was at my bed, because they couldn't cross. You remember the mosquito net that, you know, my father had bought for me? It's like God turned that into a barrier for them. They truly couldn't go through it. Whenever they are almost there, they'll freeze. And some of them will just be looking up like this, and it's like they are looking at someone. And sometimes they just vanish. So no matter how much it was playing with these girls, and it will even get up like this and play with them on the third one. The third one, he was removing the blanket like this, bringing it very down, little by little. I'm like, Lord, please help. It was removing the blanket, and it's like, you know, the girl's completely sleeping, very much unaware of what is going on. And I'm watching, because I went from peeping through to now really watching, because now I'm like, what are you doing? But it's looking at me. It's like, I'm gonna continue until you come out of that bed. So it was giving me that look. Go to which bed? I am not stepping out of that. Even I knew better. Like, which one? I stayed right there. So I didn't move, because even I was scared. And whatever it is that was keeping them from touching me like that or strangling me, I was not willing to cross that path. I did not understand anything about barriers, but I did know that whenever they'll get to that, when they were almost at the net, they'll freeze. It's like really freeze. Sometimes it's like they can't move anymore, and they'll be fighting to even withdraw their hands. Yeah, it happened a lot. So after that, they just, you know, they just vanished. The shadow just vanished. The one that was playing with the girl got tired at some point and walked right up, because it was right at the door, and just came through as they came. And as they go, they are taking their fear with them. And I'm there like, try to find sleep after that, it's almost impossible. And all I'm thinking about is, Lord, how long? Of course, I was not saying Lord, because at that time I didn't know Lord. I'm just there like, you know, I will say it in Uganda, like, Katonda wangi. Why? My God, like. But again, when you don't know God, it's very better that you know God while you're still young, because really the days are evil. Truly, the Bible says so. So you better know your God while you're still young. For me, it was by His grace that He kept me. Otherwise, they would have finished me. So after that, it became a regular thing. I would see one to another. So that morning, again, I went back to those girls, right? Because their demon was touching them. So it's like, did you feel anything last night? No. Did you maybe feel any blanket moving? No, I slept well. I really slept well. But you don't look like you slept at all. Did you even sleep? It's like, no, I slept, but yeah, I was doing my homework. I had become a professional liar, because I had to come up with every excuse pretty much almost every day. My excuses were so nice that they didn't ask me too much. Professional liars. That was me. So it became a regular occurrence that I was ready for them. They knew. Sometimes I got so tired, I would choose to sleep with another. There was a girl that I had befriended that was sleeping in the next room. So I would go into the next room, because most of my friends were actually there. So before the matron comes and tells us the lights to turn off the lights, most of the time I'll be there, you know, gisting with these girls, because they did not know my history. And I was going to let it be that way. Some of them had a feeling I was weird, but not to an extent. So so then I had chosen to start staying with some of those girls. However, for you parents that don't pray over your children, you are setting them out for downfall, failures, and miserable life. In the same dorm that I was in, there was satanic agents. The devil had sent agents in that school to introduce lesbianism. So there was some girls that I would sleep with, because I tried to sleep with different ones, because I was too scared to sleep by myself. But in trying to find rest to sleep better, right, trying to find rest, I ended up with almost being really, I don't know if you can call it rape, because in this case I don't know much how to call it. But the girls that I would sleep with, right, remember I'm a late sleeper, that's if I even get any sleep. So there is some girls that I will sleep with, and then I will start feeling hands over me, and it's like, what are you doing? And some of them and these were rich girls. So now I understand that, you know, the devil gave them both the money to influence the school, because as long as they had the money, it's easy. So these were popular girls. I was popular for being just the way I am, but for them they were popular because they had money, and they, you know, they would wear very, very sexy things, and some of them really had a very large thing, and I was playing as a board. Other than the color of my skin and the pretty face that I had at that time, there was nothing else to look at. No, I was as plain can be. But these girls, you know, you would look at them, and even you as a girl is like, you look at your body, it's like, but when is mine gonna grow? You know, because theirs is almost it's almost knocks you out even from afar away. So, you know, you envy them as a girl, right? Because they were older than me too. Some of them were in the same class as my brother, and others were even in a higher class. So, but they had money. But at night, is that when you sleep with them, some of them will even ask you, you know, can you sleep with me tonight? And blah blah blah. We can talk even when the lights is off. We can talk. It's like, oh yeah, of course I'll always look for an opportunity to sleep with someone, because that means that maybe I will not see any demons. So I'll jump at the opportunity. But as I jump into that, they'll end up touching. It's like that, oh no, don't worry, you like it. It's like, what am I liking? You know, they try to remove your undergarment, and it's like, no. And sometimes I will actually fall into sleep, really, because, you know, there is just a comfortable feeling when you know that. And I used to tell them that, oh no, sleep right here in the front, because for me I like to sleep in the back. So I'll put them there in the front as a barrier for me, that thinking in my mind that when a demon comes, it will eat them first before it got to me. So I'll put them there as a sacrifice. Whenever the demon shows up, it's you first, okay? Then me, I'll be spared. So but they didn't know my intentions, and I did not know their intentions. Their intentions was to do, you know, to do lesbian stuff on me. Of course, I didn't know what that meant at that time, but I knew that girls were doing stuff, and that was not good for me. So I'll be like, no, stop it, don't do that. They'll, no, come on, you know, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, you know, I'll buy you this lunch, tomorrow we're gonna go to the canteen, and I'll buy you whatever you want. It's like, no, but let me touch small. But let me no. But I can guarantee a lot of them were doing it. A lot of the girls in our dorm were doing it. Sometimes you hear them. But I had way too many problems to deal with than to hear people that are, girls that are mourning. It became a regular thing. And, they were also doing the thingy. Like I said at the beginning of even the other video, please, if you have children around, especially the Ugandan, audience, remove them, because some things I'm gonna say it in Uganda because I don't want to translate it. So, the Ugandans ones, they have a tradition of the girls wear basika, right? You know what I mean. So, in doing those things that were pretty much forced upon us by the matron, that we had to do that, and by the headmistress, she actually used to check us. There is a day that she's gonna do the so-called healthy or health check. You open your legs and she checks everything, and if you are not up to the level of okusika, the thing, you get in trouble. So the girls will use that because we're required to do it almost every night until you get to that level. So it's later on that I understood that it was an agenda, and it was connected to the growth of that school. The woman that started that school was into a lot. She had sold her soul to the devil for money, for riches, for fame. Because this school, in just a little time, it was known. It really was full. In just a little time. Others will start school for even 20 years. They are still with their same student. They never go anywhere, but this one, in just a few 2 or 3 years old, it was huge. Until later on, she even made like a high school, and I think she even made a university. She even made different stuff. But all of that was on the destinies of these children. And then it was later on that God started revealing all kinds of things that, trying to find where the problems is. I'll talk about those in all the other videos, about the 9 years of waiting, and the spiritual bondage, the voodoo that was involved, the covenants that and the ancestral spirits and everything. So all of that will have their own videos, because otherwise I'll be here for a very long time on just one. So parents, pray over your children, whether they are going in boarding school, whether they are going even in the kindergarten. Pray. Put them on the altar of God. Cover them with the blood of Jesus every day. Because you see those schools that they go to, these people are satanic. They will get riches from these children. They will exchange the destinies and the glories and the stars of these children for their own gain. So, seeing demons, it was an everyday thing. And of course, at some point, I stopped asking my dorm mates whether they saw anything, because it was always a no. So I stopped asking because they were starting to suspect me. But the spirit of lesbianism that was in that school, and there was this satanic agent that I now know her better. At that time, this girl and I were not. Her name was Betty. She was a very beautiful girl. She really had it all. And she enticed a lot of boys in that school. And a lot of them, they fall into fornication with her. So she was leading the dorm that was next to mine. She had completely taken over. She introduced lesbianism in that one, and it moved on. So now they started calling the ones in my dorm, because my dorm were for the younger ones, right? For sometimes they go with classes. So from this grade to this grade, you're gonna be here. That grade to that grade, you're gonna be there. So then they went from really destroying each other in there until they had slept with everybody in that place. You would not even, someone will call you and you have already recognized them, so then you're gonna feel safe with this particular person, and you sleep with them, and then all of a sudden you feel the hands on your chest. It's like, ah. And then all of a sudden you feel hands going in different directions and they shouldn't. It's like, aye, you too? Then it's like, yeah, I liked it, and I know you're gonna like it too. They had initiated these children, and it really spread around. It went from just being in the dorm, from the boarding ones, to now the day ones, where now you had girls that were meeting each other whenever we go to fetch water, because we had a well that was far off. You need to wash your uniforms, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. So you're gonna go to the well, and as we go to the wells, since there is those are mayuni trees, yam trees that are the leaf, right? The leaf is big, so they'll go underneath that. And also with the boys and the boys, the girls and the girls, and the boys and the girls. On top of that, the teachers were involved. As I had told you in the first video, my intelligence was exchanged with the headmistress's daughter, Claire, right? So now she's so high up, she's completely intelligent. Now I'm the one that repeats classes. I got so dumb that I had to repeat classes sometimes. But sometimes it's not because I was that dumb, but because I also refused to sleep with some teachers. The teachers over there, they will tell you that you will not pass this class until you do what other girls are doing. You have to sleep with me. And so you have to choose whether your education, you want to actually succeed in your education, or you're gonna repeat the classes. Yeah, I chose the later. But that meant that I will be ridiculed. Sometimes I'll come back in the same class that I was, and then because I was so tall at some point I got so tall that I was towering pretty much a lot of people in my class. My father is a tall man, so I ended up I only got shorter when I had a child for some reasons, but I was really, really tall at that time. So they used to call me Ofono. Ofono is that I think there was some guy, some athlete or something that was running for Uganda that was so tall up that they called him Ofono or something. So they used to call me that because not only was I too tall for now the grade that I'm in, and I'm also I'm older. I'm not supposed to be there. But these teachers were like, even if you pass, we will not let you pass until you sleep with us. So the math teacher will do that, the English teacher will do that, and they will continuously call you into the office. They called me Esther, as I said, because that's a name that Dad gave me for his purposes that we'll get to. So they will be like, Esther, unless you sleep with us. So you will be in the class and you hear, oh, Mr. Moses or Mr. Mr. Aruna, Mr. whichever, oh, is calling for you. Oof, my heart would jump out of my chest because I knew what that meant. You'll go into the office and he will sit with you and he will start touching you. You resist. He will tell you right away, you're making an enemy out of me. I am going to be your enemy. I'm going to frustrate you. And really, they frustrated me. They will call me all kinds of names. They will really call me every single time someone had to be beaten up. I was among them. This teacher will literally come into class and say, you, and you. You, Bakahati, Bakasisira, Babichi, whatever, come out. Oh, you're going to get chiboko. And it's like, but what did I do? You know what you did. But he won't say it. And other girls, like exchange looks. And it's like, as long as you refuse, it will be me and you. And truly, that semester, he will fail you. You return again the next semester in the same class. Now the little children that used to be in the second grade, you are with them in this grade. And he still frustrates you. And he will call you the mother of these children. And he will mock you that, oh, you're so stupid. You're refusing to come out of this class. But you know what you're supposed to do. Until you do what is needful, you're never going to get over. Now, children laugh for her. He'll put you right in front of the class. These children will really laugh. They'll call you mama. They'll call you all kinds of names. And sometimes it's like, he'll give them the stick. And he'll be like, beat her. Because she's too dumb to leave this class. So beat her. You're going to lay in front of a little kid that you're older than and get beat up because you refused to sleep with him. That will be the English class. The math class will come. The same thing. The science class will come. The same thing. I don't know how I knew. But at that time, I knew that each and every one of these teachers had AIDS. Because whenever I would sleep, I would see things against them. So I knew that they had AIDS. And they had spread it with all these girls that were willing to compromise. Even boys. And I was a target that I needed to do it, or they will leave me there. They made me a public show. But I still didn't. By the grace of God. And then, you go home. The semester is done, you go home. Oh, you meet an angry stepmother. That will be talking about how dumb you are. How stupid you are. Why is it that you're not leaving that same class? You are the mother of those children. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Mothers, sit with your children. Be friends with your children. That they will be free to open up to you. Because they really go through a lot. I suffer with spiritual things. And I had to suffer all of those abuse from my teachers. And also the sexual initiation of my classmates. It was horrible. And you really can't talk to anyone. You really can't. So you just suffer in silence. And it was done. You have no one to confide in. And no one understands. Because to the rest of the world, you were just dumb. You were so stupid. Like, which girl actually does not, leave that third grade to finally go into the fourth grade? Which girl? So it was horrible. Honestly, it was horrible. And on top of that, many times, the demons that will show up, sometimes they were doing things on these girls. I watched a few times where a demon will get frustrated with me, and it will go and it will lift up the skirt of these students that were in my room where I can be, where I'm watching, and it will be playing with their private parts. And these girls are moving. You can see their bodies are moving. I guess that's what in Uganda we call kawura. I think in here they call it, is it succubus or something? It has a name. There is a female one, there is a male one. Those sexual demons. So it will be touching these girls, and they'll be moving to the way it's touching them. But for them, they think they're having a dream. But to me, I'm looking right at it, and I'm seeing everything that this demon is doing with its hand. It was a nightmare. And you can't say anything. That was the most painful part. You can't even warn them. How do you start bringing yourself? I tried it a couple of times and it really backfired. How do you bring yourself to actually tell a girl? And when they wake up, sometimes I'll be like, so did you have any dreams? Like, did you dream anything? And some of them will be like, wow, I was having the best sex of my life. Man, you should have been there. I'm like, oh, really? Did you see the person? It's like, no. But, you know, there is some guy that showed up and he was, you know, doing things. Again, I'm not going to go into details. I could go into details, but I'm just, just in case some kid ends up on the video. But you grown-ups know what I mean by the hands, right? So I was watching as the thing is doing. But for them, it was a boy that showed up in their dream that they were sleeping with. A very handsome boy. But again, God had put something on me that no matter how much they tried, for me, they didn't even want to do any sexual stuff. No, they just wanted to kill me. That's pretty much it. They were out for the blood. The other ones, they were doing all kinds of things. And really, the spirit of lust went on a rampage in that dome. It went so much on the rampage that girls were sneaking out at night to sleep with the boys in the bushes. Sometimes, even during lunchtime, they'll actually go into the kitchen and do it. In the classroom. Because we used to have like the evening or the night prep, I think it was called, the night class, right? So the teachers would teach us until like at around 7 or 8, and then it's like, okay, go back to the dorm. But they would leave. Of course, when they leave, they're also going to sleep with some of those girls, right? So the whole school was not only built on cemeteries, which I'll get on, and the demons and the restless spirits of those that were buried in here were also tormenting the school. But it was also plagued with a spirit of lust that was introduced by the agents of Satan that were among the students. Of course, the weird me, I will see things. Not only am I seeing it with my eyes open, but even when I get a chance to even close my eyes, it will be the thing. I will see this person going through this, and I will see this one, and they will try to kill this one. So my entire life was just full of torment. I was a shadow. But in all of that, there is a particular night that until now I still remember. I said that, you know, I would see devils, but I also saw angels. And eventually, I saw the Lord. Now that has become my new reality, is that seeing the Lord now instead of all of those demons and seeing angels. But there is a particular time that I guess the King of Kings decided to pay me a visit. Because at this point I was way too much tormented by demons. So he decided to pay me a visit. So that particular day, again, I'm there. It was really late at night. I don't remember exactly what time it was. But it wasn't the usual time that these demons show up. So I felt this strange energy. It was a very strange power. It had fear in it. So for those that, you know, want to see God, it's a beautiful thing. But sometimes it can be very terrifying. I know. So this one in particular was too powerful. It was too powerful that you tremble. You don't know why you're trembling. And I felt it from far away. And I knew, oh great, here it is. But this time around it's different. It was even more different and more powerful than the first one that I saw. Because I started, you know, measuring their powers. So that then tonight I will know that, okay, this one is this level, the other one is this level. So it will depend on the level. So this one was a level of its own. It had no match to the other one. Now, I didn't know whether to fear or whether to rejoice, but I decided fear, because it was much easier to fear than to rejoice, because I wasn't sure of what was really coming for me. So I stay there again with my Bible, squeezing myself until, like, because the power that this one had, it could destroy anything. I felt like even my entire body would just, you know, just poof, explode. So I just shrank back into my bed, and I put the covers. I had a very nice pinkish, you know, my father used to really buy me pinkish things because I was a queen and a princess to him. So he would buy me, so the net, the mosquito net pink, bed sheets pink, and also pink. So I had this pink blanket, I just pulled it over, and I'm like, the one that is coming, it means business. I am screwed this time around. So but then it was too hot in the blanket. I'm looking for where to breathe. My own breath is now starting to be too hot for me. I can't breathe. But, you know, I'd rather suffocate, thank you, than to face whatever that was coming for me. But curiosity got the best of me. Curiosity was dealing with me. So even though it was too hot and I was too scared, I decided to peep. Because as it comes through, you can feel it from before it even gets to the door, which was a little far off. But as it comes through, you know, it makes its way through. You can feel every bit of that. As the energy gets closer, that's how much you are almost exploding. I knew that this one will definitely, I think even the barrier will not even hold it. So he got in the door, just like all the others. This one was wearing pure white. I couldn't even see well. All I know is was so tall, but the garment was all the way, like almost like sweeping the ground. You couldn't see even the feet or anything, no. And he stood there for a little bit, And just like others, he looked straight at me. They had this look that right at me, not even the one underneath me or the one under. No, it's straight right at me, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm screwed. So he walks and walks, but he's different. He was very different. I could tell he was in a form of a man. I couldn't see the face. So he walked just like others and stopped right at my door and also started to stare. I couldn't. I knew he was staring, but I couldn't see the face. Because the face is like it had many stars. Very bright stars. So it was like the entire face shining. So I got curious. Because when he got to me, I was so scared. But for some reasons, I knew he was not here to kill me. So I continued hugging my Bible. But I'm also looking at him, you know, down and like trying to really see his face. I couldn't. It was too bright. Then it's like that voice within me that is always with me. It was not talking that day, but it always speaks. But for some reasons that day it didn't say anything. I'm trying to really pay attention to hear if it's going to say something about this situation. Like, voice, where are you? I actually need your help, because you see this one is going to, I'm going to explode. I don't know. I can't make up his intention. I feel like he's going to hurt me, but at the same time, I feel like he's not my enemy. But the power that he has is too much. I'm going to explode, but at the same time, I'm not here to hurt you. Because I was confused, like, which one is which? But all I know, I was listening to that voice. It was nowhere to be found. I was left by myself. And then I'm just wondering, so what am I going to do? Anyway, I continued hugging my Bible. This being just stood there. Longer. It was actually longer. He stood there. And he didn't stretch forth his hand. He just stood. And it's like he's really observing me. And he's looking at him. And again, sometimes when I'm not too scared, I could almost feel some love from this one in particular. But the power that he carried, it was that power, that energy that was just almost knocking me unconscious. But the intention behind that power, I could tell he was not here to kill me. So after standing there for a long time, I don't know how long that was, I wanted to reach out, to touch, to maybe remove the stars so that I can see his face. I could tell he was a man. But I couldn't, because at the same time I'm too scared. He turned a little bit, looking at the direction of that little storage, and then looked at me again. And I started feeling like I wanted to touch this person. I wanted to know this person, but I was too terrified. So it's like he looks and looks, until at some point he just walked a little bit, and it's like I blinked and he was gone. I was wondering, which one is this one again? Why is this one very different? He carries such power that will destroy anything. But at the same time, there is a gentleness around him. And at the same time, I knew he was not here to kill me or to even harm me at all. So that left me wondering. He did not look around to any of these people. his attention was straight at me. And then after he was done, you know, making himself completely known to me for a while, then he vanished. When he vanished, it's like, whew, I can breathe again. Because at the other time I was completely holding my breath. So he left. And then after that, of course, the next day we go back to the usual routines. Demons, useless demons. That is what I was stuck with. And then there is a time that an angel showed up. He was taller than this other being. It was later on that I saw who that being was. Because then I started seeing him, you know, more often. When he told me that all these years I've chased you down. And I was waiting for that perfect moment to show myself to you. Then I remember that it's like right away that clicked. It's like, you were that one. So then I started seeing him often. This time around, he didn't have stars on his face or that big brightness that was literally almost blinding me. But this time around, he will show himself. And then the other times, I will see angels. I will see this very tall man with very beautiful, they are always well dressed. And when he comes, again, he has some fear around him, but I was not scared. He was still very scary because, you know, he's still a very giant and really, but I knew that I always knew the difference. Not even on the power levels, because some of them, you know, even though they are wearing all white, they will still have a higher power, and sometimes a demon will show up and it has a greater power. So yeah, I was measuring them by the power and also by the way they looked. Others, they were sometimes completely invisible, and you just feel an air right in your face, and sometimes a voice. So they are very creepy beings, and they feed on the fear. The moment they'll get you into fear, then it's like they have got you, because that fear makes them bigger, empowers them, that, you know, the more you fear, you become little, but they can become greater. But when you stand your ground, and because now I stand my ground, I know that I am the daughter of the Most High. Now it's like even Satan is like, who are you? Right? So then, you know, he'll come, boo. It's like, boo, boo. Right? But before, because you don't know, you're just saved by grace. You're just a poor soul. Right? So then they'll really magnify themselves. They fed upon the blood of these children. Many children disappeared. Many were plagued with diseases. There is also sacrifice, because where the school was, there was a little house that they used to live this wonderful family. I liked that family. Sometimes I'll go sit with them, but we're not, for those that were in boarding, we're not really allowed to cross that gate. But sometimes, of course, you steal yourself. She got pregnant. She had a little, I think, a little girl or a little boy. But she got pregnant, and, you know, we used to look at her with the bump, and, you know, you're there washing your uniform and you're looking at outside. It really looked like prison. The only time we're allowed to go out is either the holidays or when we're going to fetch water, but other than that, it looks like a prison. So this girl, this woman, she was a younger woman really, and she was pregnant, and throughout that pregnancy I was observing her, and I knew what she was gonna have, a little girl. Of course, you cannot go and tell her that you're gonna have a little girl. So I'd keep it to myself, but whenever I saw her with a little bump, I was looking forward to that little girl. One day, that was a different semester, right? Because every semester we change. right? So this particular semester, I was moved into that first room. It was smaller than the other two rooms, so I was moved into that first room. It wasn't they didn't have many beds. I think I was in there most times by myself, because most of um, the girls will abandon me to go sleep with their friends over there. So for me, I'll be stuck sometimes in those rooms. Oh, the way I'll be seeing shadows and demons and ghosts, restless souls. Like I said, the school was built on a cemetery, right? So they were also using those restless souls to bind them as slaves. So there is areas that we were not allowed to go to. And again, at that time, honestly, I was seeing things, but I did not understand. It was later on in my life, especially like 2017, 2018, 2019, there where I really started praying for God to tell me all the things that are wrong with my life, that He started taking me back. This happened, this happened, this happened. So everything now started making sense. So there's children, the children that were being sacrificed, they were being sacrificed to the demons that governed the school. And others died in a way of accidents. There were so many accidents. You'll be here and you hear, oh, goodness, died the car. But you and your weird self, you saw that someone was gonna be died, and it's like the blood is, you don't really make sense of those things until later on. It's like, oh, so this is what it meant, that is what it meant. But at this time, like, what am I supposed to do other than really, fight for my own? So they sacrificed a lot of children through accidents, through diseases. So this little baby that was getting born, one day, because now I'm close to that in the first room, and I'm sleeping and I'm dreaming, and I saw that woman lamenting, screaming, and I saw a little dead baby, and it's like I'm looking around and I'm looking at the little casket, and the woman is really lamenting. And actually I was woken up by that lamentation because hours later, after I had already come out of that dream, I had already seen that baby is gonna be dead. But it was not gonna be a natural death. To the parents, it seemed like, oh, it's just a stillborn. I gave birth, but it died. So at that night, I did not know that she was in labor. So as I go to sleep, and I'm looking at her, and she has delivered, but the baby is dead. I'm looking at a tiny casket, and I'm looking at the little baby, and I'm looking at the woman wailing, and it's like, okay, of course I knew what was coming. So later on, in the early hours, I hear a scream, just like in the dream. I'm like, well, here it comes. And then, some children are rushing through to see, and it's like curiosity. It's like, oh, the baby's dead. She was in labor the whole night, but the baby was born tired. Parents, I cannot say this enough. Pray over your children, and when you're pregnant, you are expecting, pray over that pregnancy. The devil, like a roaring lion, is looking for who to devour. He's looking for that little innocent blood to eat, because that's what they feed on. They eat the flesh of babies, they drink the blood of babies. So this baby was offered by that useless woman that we called the headmistress to renew her wealth. But this woman, this poor woman, did not know that. And with my understanding, I didn't understand it fully. I'm just seeing things. It was horrible, just as I had seen it when I went to look, and it was the same. They had wrapped this little baby in some stuff, and they were carrying. It was awful. An innocent little baby vanished because of some greedy person that wants her school to be out there, to be known everywhere. She fed on her and her husband. They fed on the brains of the students. You had students that would come in. Even my own brother was super intelligent. There is a time that he was hit by a sickness, and I had to stay far off to watch him from afar. Because there is nothing I could do, but they were sucking the life out of this boy. Who do you tell? Because he himself doesn't even believe in such things. There is a few times that I had taught him things and he was just like, great, you too, you're going crazy, like our sister, because she too sees some stuff, right? So she too would say things, and it's always like, why is it's always the girls in this family? So just like the other one, you two have gone crazy too. I cannot really defend what the other one was saying. I can only talk about what I saw. And the things that I saw were true. But because these brothers, I don't know how God made them, but spiritually speaking, they're dead. And I know they'll watch this video, because I'm talking about things that they didn't even know. Because they were too ignorant to accept what was going on. And it will always be like, oh, you always cry for nothing, or you are this and you are that. You're always talking about the ghost thing. There is no such things. So he was literally, his life was being sucked out of him, and they were calling that so-called malaria that really lasted. It really hit him until he lost a lot of weight. And he was dizzy. There is a day that I was going up like this because I used to watch him from the shadows, right? At some point, even at school, we stopped talking. So I was just watching him from the shadow. And I used to follow him a lot, to watch over him from the far off, just like I've done all my life. Spiritually speaking, I've watched over him. There's so many things that he would never even know. So I'll follow him, and he will be staggering like this. And he was almost dead. He was almost dead. This was a vibrant boy that he had the so-called fever. But it wasn't fever. It was literally those demons that were sucking the blood out of him. The demons that I had seen. They were sucking because they were feeding upon the blood of those youth. And that's how they were gaining the power. Today, it's like, you know, it comes at you with this energy. Tomorrow, that same demon, when it comes again, the power that it will have, you don't even want to, you know, peep through. And yet it was that same one. Because at some point I recognized them. And the way they used to touch, they will pull through the skull, like their hands, it will go through, and it's like they're twisting the brain or something. They used to play with something here, and it's like they'll be pulling out. Sometimes they'll hover over a girl that is sleeping, and they're just hovering, and then they'll be like doing something like this to them. Who are you gonna tell? I mean, that is strange. Even me talking about it, I know a lot of people will not even believe it. But again, if you don't believe it, just ask the Lord to if I'm saying the truth or not. And if you don't believe me, you know, you don't believe what I say, just pray for your eyes to be awakened, and God will give you your own experience. Doesn't have to be mine. There is so many other people there with similar stuff. I can only talk about what I know. So that little baby was sacrificed. There was another one that was they said that her parents were born with AIDS. I don't know. She was like kind of sickly. She came from a rich family, but she was kind of sickly. So there is a day that I was sleeping again, whenever in that same room too. Whenever I'll get to at least get some sleep, it's not like I would even get any sleep. I'll end up in nightmares anyway. So the girl, her name was also called Brenda. Brenda is a very popular Ugandan name that many children had it at that time. She was an in and out. She was a day student. So sometimes she was sickly. Sometimes, you know, she would show up and then she would disappear again for a couple of months. So it had been like a couple of months that a couple of weeks or couple of months since we had last seen her. So I ended up in a dream where I was sleeping. I was just laying where I had originally been laying, and I looked up. No, I was not laying. I was walking close to the gate, and I looked up because the school was built in what looked like a little valley or something, because upward there is some little mountain going on. It's not a mountain but a little hill. So I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was trying to wash my uniform. So when I looked up the hill, I saw that girl. She was wearing the uniform. We used to wear a blue skirt and a white shirt with a tie and whatever. So I saw her and I'm like, oh wow, Brenda finally showed up. It has been a long time. So she came and she stood at some point on that hill. She didn't get close to the school. And then she started doing like this to me. She was not saying anything, but she was just doing like this. I'm like, you want me to come? She's like, but she looked pale. She didn't look like the Brenda that, you know, I mean, the girl was always sick and she was really skinny. They said that she had AIDS because she was born with it. But the way she looked at that day, there was something off about her. I just couldn't place it. So she was calling me like this, and I'm looking, and I wanted to cross the gate to go where she is, and it's like something just grabbed my feet and I froze where I was, and I didn't understand. And she saw that, so it's like she got a little desperate, so she made another step and just called me, and I tried to move to cross that gate to go where she was, because I knew she wanted to tell me something or show me something, but I couldn't cross the gate because the way the gate was, it had a few bricks that, you know, you kind of like have to jump over like that. So she called me and it's like I wanted to move but I couldn't, and I could tell she couldn't really come close. It's like there was something that was not allowing her to cross where I was, and now my feet too couldn't cross over that little thing. So now I'm just here that, so I want to go to find out what she's saying, because she hadn't showed up at class for a long time, but she's calling me and she seemed very desperate. I knew there was something she wanted to show me, and then it's like when I try to force It's like something said, if you follow her, you will never wake up. You know, look. If you follow her, you will never wake up. So she kept calling, and it's like she got a little too desperate, and she got even pale, more pale. It's like she was starting, you know, she came as a normal human being, but the more she stayed there, she started getting pale and pale, and it's almost like she's getting thinner and thinner, and you know when someone is starting to disappear. And then at some point she just looked at me with eyes that I still can't explain. It's both with terror and fear, and like she was so scared. She was so terrified of whatever it is that she was terrified of, but at the same time it's like, I gotta say something. So anyway, when she saw that I couldn't go where she was, and she too was trying to come but she couldn't, she only went that far, like, you know, she was still very far away on that hill, but she couldn't. So at some point she just turned, she gave me one last look like that, very sad, and she turned and she left. I felt so sad. I felt like my heart was broken, and I felt like I would never see her again. Of course, the bearer of bad news. I would have become a CNN for bad news, but you know, I had learned to actually keep it for to myself, because my tongue had gotten me in trouble. So I kept quiet. And that's when class, I think we were in the first period or something, the news came. The teacher came in with the announcement that Brenda passed away last night at around this time. I was so shocked, because the time that they were talking about is the time I saw her on that hill. So I was in denial. I said that no, that's impossible. I saw her. And then the girl stand. I said, what did you say? Oh, then it really registered very quickly what I just said out loud. Then I was like, you know, we all saw her last time that she was here. I mean, she didn't look so sick. Like, what do you mean she's gone? But the sad look that she had given to me when I couldn't follow her, because something told me, you follow her, you will not wake up. So because my curiosity wanted to get a hold of me, that's something that told me that, grounded my feet, that really I couldn't move. It was just the grace of God. She had come to take my spirit in the underground, in the underworld, with her. Because again, when the people pass away, they know who can see them. So she came to me because she could see me. She knew I could see her now. But she wanted to take me down with her. So it was the grace of God that really came in at that moment, and just couldn't move anymore. So when I heard that she had passed away at that time, I was in so much denial, because and then you know, at first I was, but it can't be, she looked healthy. But then as I remember the dream very clearly, then it's like, no wonder, you know, when she came down the hill, she looked a little healthy, but she was so sad. I still remember the look that she had. And of course, our school was forced to go say goodbye to her. It was terrifying for me, because I kept wondering that what if she wakes up and tries to drag me in the casket with me? Because you know, in the school, you know, we're required to go to her house just like all the others that died. or required to go and really see her for the final time. And so I kept, when we were going, I was really terrified. I'm like, last night she tried to take me, oh, this time around, now that I'm physical like this, she's gonna finish me. She really is gonna take me down with her. So I couldn't look at her body that well because I was scared that, you know, she may open her eyes and look at me and tell me, come with me. So as others were actually looking at her, I couldn't. I just, you know, one look and it's like trying to disappear. So she too, just like that, she was gone. Another boy called Douglas went the same way. Others just died mysteriously, and the parents could not connect anything. The parents were just, you know, oh, they died in their sleep. My enemies, my village people. You're talking about your village people. You're talking about your own enemies of progress that have taken the life of your child. But it's at the school you took them to. The place that you think that they will be safe. Because I ended up being in I was taken into the boarding school, was because, you know, the mother was accusing me always of being a prostitute. Again, she was beating me to cast away the demon of Jezebel and the prostitute and everything. And so she would always tell my dad all kinds of things. So for protection, he decided to take me to the boarding school because that's safer. Unknown to him that if it wasn't for God, I would have become a lesbian. I would have become an agent of Satan. I would have become a complete sacrifice. They was going to sacrifice me for money rituals. So since they couldn't take my life, they just they took the destiny, they took the purpose, and they just really taken the blessings, the favor. They took a lot of things, but the life, just like, you know, the devil, the Lord tells the devil, yeah, you can have Job, but do not touch his life. So the Lord permitted all of this to happen to me because he was going to come in with a mighty hand. And the same God that permitted it, it will be the same God that took me out. But it's not so for a lot of people. You may not have the same grace that I did. Because really, all the things that they did in that school, like I said, when she was starting the school, she used to feed me special food that her children were not allowed to touch. It was through that food that she was initiating me. It was through that food that she was surrendering me into a covenant with demons. That's why those demons that were coming to me there, they knew who I was. Even though they knew this, again, when you have a big star on you, you may not know it. But in the spirit world, they'll be able to see it. And they'll try to take it down. If they cannot handle it, if they cannot kill you as a person, they'll try to hinder it. They'll try to prevent it. They'll try to contaminate it. They'll try to prevent it. They'll do everything that it does not shine so brightly. They'll do everything to make sure that you do not live up to your full potential. That's why the grave is full of rich people. It's full of warriors that would have been very beneficial to the kingdom of God. It's full of soldiers that would have fought for the kingdom of God. But all of that is through spiritual ignorance. And the devil loves those kind of people. He will afflict you But because you don't know, you cannot relate your problem to the spiritual world. You just think that, oh, this is normal. You have people that, you know, they masturbate. Well, of course, it's the devil's agenda to normalize that. That way you're not going to say it's a demon. You're not going to try to cast it out. So the spirit of masturbation, the spirit of lust, the spirit of greed, the spirit, all kinds of spirits that, you know, the spirit of rebellion, all kinds of spirits. But because, you know, oh, that is just her temperament, oh, that is just her attitude, oh, she was just born like that. You know, you make up excuses instead of casting out that demon. And through ignorance, really, my people perish. For what? For the lack of knowledge. Because when you have that knowledge of God, you will conquer. You would live up to your full potential that God has made you to be. The demons that used to come into the dome, whenever they couldn't get to me, because I was surrounded by the protection of God. So they would take all of those. And then somehow this girl will start getting sick. She will be sent home. Sometimes you don't see them back again. Completely forgotten. Others, they will be sent home. So especially when the school is closing, right? For those parents that couldn't come to pick up their children. Oh, the child didn't make it home. Oh, they'll be lying. Oh no, maybe the chibabana. So, you know, the kidnappers. Oh, maybe kidnapped. But it was them that sacrificed these children. And do not sit there and say that there is no such a thing. Read your Bible. Many times that Israel got in trouble with God is because they sacrificed their children to all of these, you know, pagan gods, which we knew as Satan. They walk in the fire, they would sacrifice their children, they were eating their children. So read your Bible, you're going to see that if there was no such a thing as witchcraft, God would not say that suffer not a witch to live. Are you trying to turn God into a liar? If there is no sorcery, why is there so many scriptures about sorcerers? And if they are such good people, why is it that their end is in the lake of fire? Come on, wake up. Wake up from your spiritual slumber. Just because you don't want to acknowledge it doesn't mean that it's not after your life. That sickness that has been stacking on you like glue, it's not because God is not able to deliver you, but because you keep shooting here and shooting here, you're not really directing it to the real source of your problem. That thing that is stuck in your life, that is causing you to be this way, to be that way, and you're making up excuses. Well, that is just how my family is, or that is just the way I was born. Oh, give me a break. Wisdom, revelation, and of course you cannot fight these battles until first you come under the headship of God. He's your ruler, your number one ruler. Do not have another ruler over you. That will be idolatry. Let your number one be God. As he said, do not put anything else before me. So if you're putting your husband and your wife and your pastor and your whichever, your boss and even your children and even your car, and you're putting it before God, you are an idol worshiper. You are not different from Catholicism. You are not different from the Buddhas and whatever, even though you call yourself the believer. So be wise. Wake up. Wake up and know who your enemies are. The Bible tells us to put on the armor of God. All of these things that are included in that armor, those are not physical. Because those things are going to be used against the spiritual. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. It's not you that I'm against. It's not me that you're against. But we are against the kingdom of darkness that influences those that are not under the headship of God. So before you go and challenge these things just because you heard Rachel saying that, you know, now it's time for a spiritual battle, before you go and be challenging these things, first surrender your life to Christ completely. Go into, first of all the stages of salvation. You cannot take this, fight these beings under sanctification. If you're still under sanctification, you may not be able to. This is Satan. And as much as our message believers, like to put him down that, well, he's nothing and I am all of this, sometimes the Lord will let you test it. And you realize that you can't do nothing until you have God in you. Because it's not, that devil is not hearing my voice, but it's hearing him that is in me. So when I say, Satan, I resist you, or I denounce you, Satan, just leave my side. What are you doing here? It's not the words of a human that he's listening to. If it's me as a human, the way he would deal with me mercilessly and destroy me. But if I can be able to say, Satan, leave my side, and he truly goes, don't brag and be like, I have done something. You see, I am a doctor so and so, and I'm the doctor of divinity, and I am the, the prophet, reverend, whatever, and I am the preacher. No, it's not you. It's not you that cast out these things. In all the things that I've casted out in my life, it had nothing to do with me, because there is times that I actually said those same words and it didn't work. Because they will not recognize my voice, but they will recognize, as the Bible says, that he that is in me is greater than he that is in the world. So first of all, let Christ be in you, and he's the one that will speak. Don't take your self-righteousness and be like, well, God, I'm a predestinated seed, and I am the blah, 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 and you knew me before the foundation. All of that will still not stand before Satan. You can have all of that and he will still frustrate your life. Because what you have there is in the seed, is in your soul. But you still have the spirit. You still have your body. And those two, no matter how many, you think that those two will never find salvation. Because after we die, our spirit breaks down. It's our soul that goes back to where it came from. But the spirit breaks down, the body goes and decays and goes back where? To the ground. So when the Lord paid the price, it was for your soul. And so the 5 gates of the spirit, Satan completely still has access to it. The only time that he will not be able to influence it that much, if you surrender it to the Lord. Surrender your memory, surrender your reasoning, surrender all of these affections, surrender them to the control of the Holy Spirit. That is the only way you can survive. Otherwise, Satan will take those same 5 gates of the spirit and use it against you and frustrate your spirit. Again, there is a lot of message believers born again, but their spirit is not born again. So that spirit can still be in the cage of the enemy. The cage of affliction, the cage of masturbation, the cage of lust, the cage of greed, the cage of all kinds of things, anger, ignorance. Why? Because you still need your spirit to contact those spiritual realm, and the devil and his kingdom, they are of the spiritual realm. So it will be very ignorant. I've seen some message believers that say, bless God, I know the prophet. What does that have to do with anything? You can know the prophet all you want. You can know the preaching all you want. You can know this and that and that and the other. You can even quote them. As long as you can quote these things, the devil doesn't mind. As long as the life that is in those quotes, you're not living it, he will leave you there. You get all puffed up because you know this quote and you can quote all of them. You can quote the Bible. You can quote all of these things. The devil does not care as long as you do not live the life of this Bible. Because as long as you don't live that life, he can still beat you up. You can't say anything. Don't lie to yourself. Don't try to say that, to challenge that being. That being is wicked. I have seen that being face to face. And the reason that it has run away from me a couple of times, it's not me. It's him that I have surrendered my soul to. It's my Lord. He's not Lord in words. He has to be Lord in action, where he has full control. I did not want to do these videos. No way. Because the things I talk about, of course I'm gonna be labeled a weirdo. I already was labeled a weirdo. But please keep it to yourself. I know I'm weird. Thank you. But you know, my life is gonna be out there. But I had to surrender myself to my husband, my Lord. I says, well, I want it out there for whatever purposes. It's like, okay, Lord, I'll do that. So, these children, parents, take time to know your children. That cannot be overemphasized. Take time to know your children. You may think that, oh no, they're just going to school. You may even be the one dropping them to school. But you're not with them there every single moment when they're at school. And maybe you try to put so much fear in them. If you do this, I'm going to do that. If you, yeah, that too can reach a point where it will wear off. But introduce them to the Lord Jesus. Shape them in the Word of God. Let them have the fear of God, not necessarily your fear, because if they can have the fear of God, they will fear you. Not in the way that you are a monster. The moment you are about to come back, it's like, oh no, that is almost, no, not that kind of fear. That's torment. Don't let your children have that kind of torment for you. That's prison. You're imprisoning them. But first, let them have the fear for God. Let them walk with Christ. Let Christ be their entire foundation. Let all of those affection that you're trying to direct so much on yourself, because it's all about what mama said, what daddy said, all of that is good. But you do realize that if you can introduce them so much to Christ until they fall in love with him, obeying you will not be a problem. It will come naturally. They don't have to be hiding themselves to do all the other stuff. No, they'll come to you and, you know, Mom, I'm going through this. I need help with this. I need prayers. Can you pray with me? Because I'm going through this. Because I'm experiencing this. You know, you don't have to. You can sneak around. But again, children will always find ways to hide these things. You may think that you're so smart and you have them figured out, and you know you're so strict, and I'll take this and I'll do this. They'll always find a way. They'll outsmart you. I know you don't want to acknowledge that, but they will. Those people that they talk to, the internet that they are on, is always teaching them how to outsmart their parents. But if they have Christ in them, raise your children in the ways of the Lord, and you will truly have rest. You will not be running around trying to do this, trying to control this, no, you will have rest, because the place that you will not be, Christ will be there. In those dark moments in that room that they will turn off the light and you think they are sleeping, if you're using your own, carnal mind, they'll be doing things that will surprise you. But if Christ has gotten a hold of their heart, you don't have to worry. You can sleep peacefully, knowing that whatever temptation that will come their way, God will see them through. Because what? Their anchor is not on their parents necessarily, but their anchor is in Christ. The rock of ages is their rock. And he will break down every temptation that you cannot break down, because you too, you have your own temptation. You too, you have your own giants that you're trying to run away from. No one can save anyone. If that was the case, all parents would have been on the cross and would die for our children. But we're all sinners, saved by grace. So you as a sinner, you can't save your children. But take them to the one that is able to not only save them, but keep them. You will sleep peacefully. You don't have to run around. You dedicate them to the Lord. You pray for them. You commit them into the hands of the Lord. And they love the Lord. And because the Lord is in their heart, they will try to do things that are pleasing to Him. And He will help them. He will sustain them. When you're not around and they have a little break at school and their classmate comes, you want to take a vape. You are not there, madam. Because you know what? You are not the keeper of Israel. As much as you think you're something, you are not the keeper of Israel, because you cannot be there. But if what they have in their life is the keeper of Israel that does not sleep or slumber, you don't have to worry. You see that vape, they will say, no, I will not take it. My God says I should not do such things. Not even necessarily Mama says or Papa says. God says. So the guardians that we can give our children can reach far. But the guardians that God will give them will take them not only through when they are still under our roof, but even when they go out there on their own. The same God that will be with them as their children. It will be the same God that will watch over them when they go to universities, when they start working, when they start, their families. It won't be you. Sooner or later, they'll come out of your headship. But what will happen? If all they had was the fear of Mama and the fear of Papa, that means that the moment they get the opportunity and you are not there, they will do it. But if they have the fear of the Lord in them, whether Mama is around, whether Papa is not around, they'll be doing something that they'll remember that, oh, God says no. I know parents, you want to be the ultimate in your children's life. You do as best as you can. But always make sure that before you put yourself in that picture, make sure that they are looking towards the author and the finisher of their faith. That's not you. The Bible did not say that was you or that was me. As much as I love my daughter, I am not the author and the finisher of her faith. If I exalt myself like that, I'll be blaspheming. And I know, parents like to say that they are the God of their children, and so you have to do as I say. Well, you raise them your way. But the best way is find out what God has to say in their lives. Because maybe your idea is contrary to their maker's idea. So then what should they really fear? They have to respect you. The Bible tells us to honor our parents. But those parents should not be the God in our lives. There is only one God. And it should not be second place, third place, fifth. It should be one, number one. First place. Whether you are grown up, whether you're young, whichever age you are, that God should be first place. You talk to your parents. Mama, pray with me. Papa, pray with me. Yeah, they need that guidance. But you should never put yourself as the ultimate solution to their problems. And you should never exalt yourself to the way that I said do this. It may be different from what their maker wants for them. The parents always, I want you to be the lawyer, I want to be the doctor, I want to be... But maybe she was just supposed to be a housewife. Or maybe she was just gonna be a kindergarten teacher. But you want them to be some high court judge because that's what is gonna bring honor to you. Find out first. What does God say concerning this child? Because you did not make this child. You only bared this child. You did not even raise that child on your own. It was the grace of God that raised that child in your life. So before you put in your own opinion, go on your knees. Papa, what have you made for this child to be? What is your word concerning this child? What purpose have you made them for? Pray with them. Also teach them to also, pray to God to find out that. And then you pray together. When God makes his plan known, follow it. Even if it's something simple. And you really, as a parent, it's not something that is going to be beneficial really. But remove your feeling out of it. Because the ultimate goal is truly to find the will of God for our lives. That is where the happiness lies. And if you're going to have victories in your life, it's first know the mind of God concerning what you're going through. That particular situation, what does God have to do to say? Sometimes he will leave us in, there is so many things that he has left me in that were really, really terrifying. But it's like, yeah, this is a class for you. And you're not leaving until you actually finish that class. You're busy casting out the devil and the village people. And I come against you without knowing that actually this is the hand of God in your life. And it's just training you. So you'll be there casting out the devil and all his korokoros and, blind the kingdom of darkness. Wasted prayers. Well, you could have just said that, Lord, what do you really want me to learn? Now, me that I'm saying this, of course, I spent so many of those years trying to do my own thing. Because again, revelation grows. But until he did not let me have my way. No. Many cases I want to do it, bam. I'll get to a point, on those other videos where I'll talk about how he really dealt with me. And he still does. But pray for your children. Take some time to know really what is happening in their lives. For me, I would know pretty much everything that is going on in my daughter's life. Not only will I see it before it actually comes, but we do have a relationship that she can feel free to confide in me. They go through a lot. You may be like, what do you have to suffer for? What do you go through? Oof. The mental state in this time is horrible. If it's horrible for us, the grown-ups, let alone these children that no one listens to. So if your children are like me when I was growing up, no one to tell, you're seeing all of these great things, you want answers. You really want to understand. But no one is there to tell you, okay, this is what it means. Or maybe I used to think myself as a cursed person. I honestly thought I was cursed. Because I would close my eyes and I would see horrible, accidents. Oh, very disgusting. And before you know it, you've heard about it. Oh, that street over there, and the people have gathered, and oh, that'll be like, I'm really cursed. God doesn't love me. If he loves people, if he loved me, he would not let me see such things. And I was already a miserable person, so that means that most of the things that I used to say, they were miserable things. And yet I had a tongue that when I say things happen. So that means that whatever bad things I pronounced, they happen. But maybe if I had a guide, maybe many times I wish that I grew up with my mother. And it's like, maybe if I grew up with my mom, I would have been able to tell her these things, and maybe she'll understand. Maybe she'll tell me, no, this is what it means, or maybe do this. So, maybe she'll give me some counsel. But that was a wish that never came true. I was left with an evil one that really... You're talking about spiritual bondage? Wait until I get to that part. The things I even said today was not even anything. When it comes to those spiritual bondages, it was awful. And to get out of it, it's by the grace of God. That I can even sit and smile today, it's by the mighty power of the living God that I serve. And it wasn't because I'm serving him, but it was because he had decided that he would just fight for me. And whenever the enemy said that you just end here, he will just put me higher. The enemy says you're going to die, he says you will live. Again, I'll talk about the spiritual bondages. I'll talk about when he now brought me into the light. When he came now so I seeing him, in reality, and as I seeing him, now I developed a relationship with him. When he showed me his message, when he saw all of those things, so when he called me for his purposes, and he called me for the ministry, and so now he started dealing with me over the years in different the things that I'll talk about. So all of those also, they are very long. They are spiritual things. This was just a little tiny part of just that school to show you that even before you take your children to those schools, pray. That's why I really encourage for you to find a mind of God, the mind of God concerning even the choice of school you should go to. And the church. The churches these days, they are graveyards. You should pray to find the will of God concerning the church you should go to. Otherwise, you're going to be slaughtered like a chicken to enrich some cause, some devil in a suit. So truly, everything, handle it with prayers. That way, God will show you. He will direct you. He will position you. He will plant you. Because when He does, no one will uproot you. You will not be deceived. While others are ending up in being used and being all of these things, and some people are so ignorant, they think that that is just Africa. My dear, open your eyes. It's even worse here. I used to talk about the witchcraft in Africa. The ones that I see here, they will make Africans look like it's a child play. Because later I realized that even the ones that they had from Africa, they come to these sides to bleed it. All of these places, Nigeria, India, and whatever, they actually travel to these countries to get it. So don't be there and be talking about, oh, African, they are witchcraft. My dear, wake up. Wake up. Even the people you're working with at your work may not even be people. They may have a skin like a human, but it's not a human. Do some research, because now a lot of things are out. You don't even have to take my word for it. Just do a little research. Look into Hollywood a little deeper. And above all, pray to God for spiritual understanding and for your eyes to be opened. You will see things. You will see things that even your neighbor is not what you think they are. Forget about the beautiful house that you're looking at, because you don't even know how they got that house. Forget about the latest car that they are driving. You may be living right close to a very demonic entity that is sitting on a lot of blood, and you want to be like them. My people perish for the lack of understanding. Let him that has an ear hear. Pray. The children that were sacrificed for the school, even my own brother doesn't know these things, and yet he was in that school. The voices that I used to hear, those restless spirits that used to just move around, that were looking for place for rest, they died without salvation. So they're just now aimless souls that are just walking about. I used to have a whirlwind that used to follow me. That whirlwind even found me at that school. I grew up with that whirlwind. In Uganda, they call it a kazimu because they still don't know what it is. And there is some tradition this and superstition this and whatever. But I got to know what that whirlwind was. And I got to appreciate that whirlwind because then I knew. Because whenever there was trouble that was coming my way, it will suddenly lift at the ground and it will go like this and I'll sit over there. Most times is when I was so sad and depressed and sitting there at school. I'll sit at the veranda and I'll be looking at this group of girls. I'll look at that group of boys completely unaware of what is even going on. And I envied them. And I hated the fact that I was a cursed person because of all the things that I knew and the things that I saw and the things that I heard. I was really lonely. I was really lonely. I could not relate to them. Because whenever I opened my mouth about something, it would be something that it would be so strange, and they wouldn't want to associate themselves with me. So I was really alone. My family didn't understand me. My neighbors did not understand me. The school did not understand me. Nobody did. So sometimes I'll sit there, especially at around lunchtime. They'll be serving the beans and the matoke and whatever, you know, that lunchtime where I did the line, and I'll sit and I'll cry. And I'll so cry and I'll just look up in the clouds. I don't know why I always looked up in the clouds, but I always felt like there is someone in those clouds that was looking back at me. And sometimes I would feel pain coming from those clouds. Please don't ask me how. But sometimes I'll feel like there is a pain that is reaching out to me. But now I'll look back and decide it was not time for him to reveal himself to me. So he had to wait and really wait. Why? I don't know. He really should have really, you know, he was helping me, but I really should have, I needed these explanations at that time. I need them now more, but at that time I really would have appreciated some explanations, because I really just wondered why I was that weird. I'll sit alone and I'll feel so sad, but then there is a lot of people, so you know, the little tears will come and I'll wipe them away very fast. It has been the same over the years. Sometimes I'll sit in the church and it's the same. Sitting in a church full of people and it's the same. I'll be at work and it's the same. But it's later that, you know, when he called me for ministry, which I'll talk about in other videos, that he really made me to understand why you have gone through what you have gone through. Why I allowed what you went through. I allowed it for this, for that, because he was going to use it. Because truly, without all of these experiences, there is no way I'll be able to deal with people that I deal with. No, I'll be just like a lot of people, very ignorant of people's feelings. I will not know pain. I will not know discouragement. I will not know severe depression. I will not know loneliness and isolation. Rejection. Oh, that one is like it became my name. Among the covenant that was signed against me, there was a specific principality of rejection that was assigned for me. That spirit used to cover me all the time. So, but it was lonely. So I would sit there and tears will start rolling, and I'll wipe them, and all of a sudden that whirlwind will come. It used to come in such a force that it will lift up even the heavy stuff around it. And, you know, children will be screaming, ah, akazimu, akazimu, you know, meaning ghost or something. Because that's what they name it, because they don't know it. I didn't know it, but I found it very strange that many times that I will feel so down, all of a sudden it will show up. It did that when I was pregnant. It did that when I was at that school. It did that in the most, even when I'm walking around and I'm so sad, and somehow it will come. Sometimes it will be so strong, it will lift up everything, and it will go like it will go in the tree, and it just goes in the trees and shakes everything. So sometimes it used to appear in anger. I thought that it was angry with me. At first I thought it was my dead mother. Because they call it akazimu. So I thought that it was my dead mother. So I used to look at it and really feel so worse. But later on I realized it was not my dead mother. It was my comforter that was not time for him to reveal himself, so he will use different channels and ways to take my mind from the situation, because whenever it will show up, somehow me that was so depressed and ready to just explode in tears, I'll get so distracted. I'll look at it and I'll get emotions out of it. Like I say, sometimes it used to just show up like it's angry. He saw what was being done. And sometimes God will get angry for your sake. But His mercy sometimes will prevent Him from acting. But sometimes He would want to destroy those that have destroyed your life. But He's still merciful. And sometimes the time of vengeance has not arrived yet. So He will hold Himself. And sometimes it was just to make me laugh. So it will show up and I'll start laughing. I don't know. And of course the children around me, they're looking at me like, ah, that weird one again. So now why is she laughing? I didn't know why I was laughing, but somehow I felt happiness just watching the way it will just circle around, and really it's like it's dancing or something, and it will lift itself up like this, and then it will come down and it will lift up whatever that is, and it will go. It was a very strange sight, until I'll forget why I was about to cry, and then I'll go back to my normal ways. So be careful. Be careful where you send your children, how you handle them, and what you allow in your house. Be careful. Don't just trust anybody just because they are, they are related to you, or they seem like they are very good people, or they are man of God, or even woman of God. Don't do that. Always. If you are not the kind that naturally sees these things, then just go into prayers. The Lord will reveal things. One way or the other, He'll tell you. So, I know that I've taken another 30 minutes. Now that 30 minutes, 3 hours. Because the first video that went off, I think it was like an hour and something, and now it's 2 hours. I keep looking at the time and I really want to stop, but it's like I keep going. But yeah, the conclusion of it is that school was built on human blood, and later was seeing skulls underneath it. The foundation, when they were building it up, because remember it was built on the cemetery, so it wasn't just the skulls of those that were already there, but they needed fresh ones So as they were building this foundation, I will not be surprised that they buried some children alive. There is evil in this world. Please believe me. There is evil in this world. Don't be a victim to this evil. Don't let your ignorance lead you into a path that you may not recover. Because you see, breaking all of these bondages and covenants and agreements, it takes years. It takes a very long time. And throughout those times and those years, you will be in a situation of frustration and darkness. And if God does not help you, like I said in other videos, I'll tell you the amount of time I almost took my life many times. Now I don't remember how many times. But all of that was because of the frustrations, the disappointments, the rejections, the isolations, the loneliness, the deep depression. But people out there see you and it's like, wow, Sister Rachel. They don't know. And please, for those that are busy judging others, don't judge people. You don't know what they go through. And if people have been in the same situation for years, don't condemn them. You don't know why they are there. For something I've realized about God, especially when it comes to his children, you will laugh at this person for this particular thing. He'll put you through that same thing, so that next time you keep your laughter to yourself and your judgment and your self-righteousness. Don't judge. Don't say that they are going through that because there is evil that they are doing. Do not be Job's friends. At the end, they had to repent. It was a great shame. Don't see someone going through something and be like, I just knew that they were a secret sinner, they were doing something. Who are you to judge? Even if they were doing something, say a secret sinner, who appointed you a God over anybody? Can you create hair? Can you make anything? Be careful. Sometimes people remain in the same sicknesses, same bondages for many years, and God is teaching them how to handle others. So be careful. I'll end here. I did not get to finish this part. I don't know if I'll make another part that concerns the school, because there was so much about that school. That school is the one that really sharpened a lot of my faulty foundations for many years. It was the reason for my many tears. Although they did not succeed in killing me like they did to a lot of children. Even now, a lot of those girls that I used to know, they are no more. They are no more. These were very bright students, beautiful. They are no more. So, but because of time, I'll end it there. I think my next video may not really talk much about the school. It may be another chapter for something else, but I don't know. I may end up making a part 2 of this maybe later on, but until then, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord keep you, may the Lord open your eyes of understanding, may the Lord give you spiritual discernment and really help you to see this world for what it is. And again, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's there. So open your eyes and know your enemy. Read your Bible. It will tell you. This Bible tells us everything. So it's either we believe you that doesn't want to acknowledge it, or we believe the Bible. But I'll choose the word of God, because God is not a liar. So if the Bible tells me these things, and by some unfortunate reasons I ended up seeing them, so even if you don't believe me, read your Bible. Also, do a little research. Really, these days evil is on display. They used to hide, but now they are completely on display. So do a little research and you'll see. So God keep you, and may his blood cover us always, and cover this video wherever it will go. For in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ I pray. Amen. Until next time. Shalom.